Hello, welcome to Never Unboxing. This time, it's the Tibo PA150, 2x150 watts, I hope that's RMS, switchable power amplifier. Oh yes it is, it says it there, look. 2x150 watts RMS, 1x300 watt RMS if you bridge it. I wonder if that's affected by if it's 4 ohms or 8 ohms, because some of these digital amps only work with one resistance, so we'll have to have a look, see if it says anything. Bridgeable, obviously, stereo, and that's about it. Now the reason for getting this, I did do one a little while ago. In fact, I will put a link up there. I did buy a different amp, a little bit cheaper, hoping to replace the one I got trouble with. Didn't work out, it had a fan in it, it was way too noisy. Fine if you're going to play it loud, absolutely fine, it's a good amp, very cheap. But this one, hopefully it's going to be a bit quieter. I also wanted to talk about power amps. Preamps and power amps. So this doesn't have anything on it whatsoever other than the on-off light and your connections to your speakers and then the feed in from a preamp. So this is a power amp and you have a preamp. That's the way you normally do it. Some people say that splitting the electronics between the two, so the preamp where you've got the very, very small signals being boosted up and then going from that boosted up to even bigger again, those two stages to keep them separate magnetic fields, you can isolate them, you can put different connects in between, so it's more flexible, you can experiment more. As with an integrated amp, everything's in the one box, and you know, the volume and what have you, and the switching. And usually, not always, you get a phono stage which is for your turntable, so it has to go through RIAA equalization and then for your preamp. And if you connected, say, something from a headphone socket, even when it was down quite low, it might well be too hot an output and it would be just too loud. So I think some people have tried to connect some of these Echo or Amazon speakerphone things and say they're too loud on the lower setting. That's because this really needs a preamp. So bear that in mind when you're going to buy something like this. You need something with a volume on it, and you need that volume to be a nice, big, controllable sweep, as much as possible really, rather than a little headphone amplifier which actually is supplying power to drive two little speakers and maybe too powerful. So anyway, that's that. Sorry for those of you that probably know that already, but I thought I'd give that a mention. Right, so let's have a look and see what's around the box. It's a high quality power amplifier with switchable stereo. Blah blah blah. Nothing much there. Oh yeah, there we go. Dual plug. Oh, it works on all voltages, no, 110 to 240. So it's got a switch mode power supply in it, and it also is a digital power amplifier. So let's have a look. And what I'll do is it's going to be very hard for you to tell. I've got an Audiolab 8000p. It's on its last legs. I've tried to mend it. One of the resistors is burned through one of the mains cables inside. It's way too hot on one side, and the resistors keep burning through their solder. It's on the way. I've had it about 10 years, but I didn't want to spend like £1,000 or so on an amplifier, which is for my computer system for when I'm editing videos, when I'm doing my home recording, when I'm playing my synthesizers. So it's not my main system, which I'll show you in a moment. And it's a silica gel bag. So I thought I'd give this one a go. Now there aren't many digital amps that sound that good, to be honest. Normally you've got to pay quite a bit of money for them. So I'm not expecting the world. I'm not expecting it to be good. Is a nice expensive £1,000 AB amplifier with a big toroidal power supply, linear power supply. Because it sounds like this might be a switched, but no, you never know. Anyway, let's have a quick look in the quick start guide. Thank you. Really not a lot to, as I said, you see there's not much there. But I tell you one thing it has that not many amplifiers have is you can carry on. It's got an in and an out on the phono, so you can put in your preamp and then you can daisy chain on as many amplifiers as you want. So you could say make this one mono. If you were just doing left and right mono, you'd only need to put one cable into this one and one into the other one. But if you were like tri-amping, then you would have 3 of these together, and then that would come in. You see what I mean? Rather than just left and right, you're actually having an amp, and an amp, all with the same output, all left side, all right side. So, you know, you could have a good experiment there. Goodness. Well, that has got to be the most uninformative. But that's ridiculous. It doesn't even tell you what resistance the connections are to the speakers. Wow, it's absolutely nothing at all. So that's a quick start guide. A quick start guide just tells you literally what each thing is, but it doesn't go into any detail. So for example, if you're not too sure, line in, RCA line input. If you're not too sure what that meant, line in left, right, RCA line input, that's the type of plug. There's nothing else, there's no explanation. So, okay. Mind you, this is like around the £200 mark on Amazon. It's about 250 at Richer Sounds at the moment. On their own website, it's about 250. I picked this one up for £208. And I mean, for the build that I'm already seeing and the weight of the thing, which makes me wonder if it has got toroidal power supply in it, £200, not bad. Right. So, as promised, you get two different leads. One, I guess that's European connector there, and a UK fused plug. Now I'm hoping that would have maybe a 5 amp fuse in, but could be 13, you never know. Hard to tell, which in fact it doesn't say what value. Let's just have a quick look. Oh, it is a 13 amp fuse fitted in there. Might not need that. 5 might be better. Yep, 13 amp. Well, for now, I'm just going to leave it as is, because I probably won't be using this lead. So that keeps it to 13 amp standard if I need it for something else. Okay. It's quite heavy. It's quite heavy. Goodness. Yep, I reckon that. Yep, I'll take that back. It hasn't got a switch mode power supply in it, because it's very heavy on this side here. I mean, it's got a toroidal power supply in it. And the reason that's a good thing is it normally sounds better than the switch mode power supply. And in fact, switch mode power supplies sometimes can put a load of crap onto the mains and make other things sound bad. So having a toroidal is a bonus. And they're good magnetically stable things. There we go. Yeah, it's quite heavy on that side. So it's got quite basic feet. I would probably put them on sorbothane or maybe magnetic levitation. I don't know yet. The front has the one LED in the middle. Right. Well, oh goodness, it's quite heavy. So on first look, but the one thing it differs from most UK amps is it hasn't got an earth, which I can't remember seeing on a power amp before, just a 2-pin. Obviously it's double insulated, and the cover is on, so you can't change it accidentally, and it's set for 220 to 240. So it has these pair speaker outs. Now what I wanted to know, because sometimes it can be misleading in the pictures, can't it? If you can put banana plugs in. Yes, you can. That's good. I hadn't actually thought about that. God, if they were non-banana ones, I'd be cussing right now, because I've got a nice cable to connect it to, and that's bananas. So as I say, you've got line out as well as in. And to switch it, to mono mode, it's just a tiny little switch there and that's it. So line in, left and right, line out. Not gold plated, you know, it's £200. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the camera around onto my computer, play something which is not copyright, so it'll be my own, so sorry about that. And then change it over and don't touch anything other than changing the amp. So see for the same volume, does it give the same volume out? And can you actually hear any difference? You've got to remember though, of course, you're hearing it through the microphones and the camera, then you're hearing it through the internet, through your speakers, so you can't really get a good idea. And also something new needs to be run in for a while as well. I'd say probably 100 to 200 hours before you finally make your mind up if it's for you or not. So, I'm going to do that now. So at this stage I better say that with my Audio Lab I did use an Ordost cable with a silver plated MK with a Russ Andrews fuse in it, with one of the cheaper watt gates. Vishnu. Yeah, Vishnu, that's the thicker one. Meter of that. Now what I put on there is it's a Russ Andrews fuse and it is... Oh, it's an Audio Quest. It's an Audio Quest. So there is a slight difference, unfortunately, but that's as near as I can get it because this one takes an unusual connector and most things take this type. But there we are. So that's as near as I can get it. Red ox it. I always put a little bit on, and even if it's new, just to make sure all the contacts are really nice. So I haven't touched anything at all. The amp's on standby, it's got a little red spot in the middle there. I don't know if it's picking that up. So if I just push play now, that should be it. So I'd say it's about the same volume, roughly. At the moment, and it wouldn't be very fair to compare them 100% yet, is it just sounds a bit more constricted, less free at the moment, but that could change in the next 100 hours easily, so it would be unfair. But the volume's about the same. So it goes red on standby and blue when it's on, and there is an on-off switch on the back of the unit. But I've got a feeling this is one that goes on to standby, so some people have mentioned. So it's not always a good thing for home cinema, because if you have an explosion or something and it's on standby where it's been quiet for 20 minutes in the film and it's, say, like an effects channel, you've got to then wait for it to come back on. And I don't know if you noticed when I put that music on, I don't know if I'm showing it in this video yet, but when I put the music on, there was a gap of a few seconds before it picked up and turned itself on, went through its little probably safety routine. So that's worth bearing in mind if you're thinking of these for a cinema. If it gets a constant feed, fine, but if it's like, you know, subwoofer, rear effects, well, all the effects other than left and right, and even left and right can go quiet sometimes, so I don't know if this would be suitable for a cinema. But for this is ideal when I'm working on my computer. Sometimes I'll go to a news article or something like that, forget what I'm doing for half an hour, and then it will turn itself off and maybe save a bit of money, who knows. But anyway, there we are. So it certainly didn't disgrace itself just then when I listened to it. It sounds fine. I mean, when you consider it's £200 or thereabout, 200 quid. And if that isn't loud enough, so I'm on about half volume roughly. I mean, if that isn't loud enough, you could always, say, bridge it and go into 300 watts. Now, I should point out my speakers are 4 ohms. There's nothing about the ohmage on the back of the unit, or when it's bridged, if it changes. Quite often, as I say, sometimes you can only use, I think it's 4 ohms when it's bridged, but 8 ohms when it's not, or stuff like that. And usually it says it on the back of the amplifier. And it doesn't even tell you on the back, as far as I can see, where to, when it's bridged, which connections to use. Or are they both, like, can you, for example, could you, could buy wire from mono if they're all active. That it probably might be that, I think, so you can buy wire mono. Anyway, already just for £200, that's fine, and that'll do absolutely fine. Maybe you think of a gaming system, computer gaming. I think computer related. I think it's a nice, nice addition. So that was the Tibo 150 stereo digital amplifier. Thanks for watching. See you again next time.